Think winning a giant Powerball jackpot is one of the greatest things in the world? You could be wrong. Jackpot winners who are actually living the dream say it can be more like a nightmare. These are the top 10 things Powerball winners hate about winning. Number 10. Other rich people don't like them.
I don't like it.
You'd think that when you get rich, you'll have access to a whole new part of society you never did before. And sure, you'll be able to do a lot of things rich people do, but often, lottery winners end up disappointed because other rich people hate them. Why? Well, there's always been social politics and snobbery when it comes to class. People from old money families see people who are newly rich as lower class. But even people with new money hate lottery winners. That's because if you're newly rich, the chances are you worked pretty hard to make all that money. They resent lottery winners for having all the same privileges they've got without having to put the effort in to get there. Of course, a lot of lottery winners were also working hard. They just didn't find themselves with the right job or skills to make them rich. Some might be lazy, but most of them are probably just as hardworking as people who made themselves lucky. But sadly, rich people never see it that way. Winners might make one or two rich friends, but they'll almost always be looked down on by rich people, whether they were born into money or made it themselves. But it's not just rich people making their lives miserable. Number 9. Everybody wants a piece of their pie.
Okay, that's a lot of money.
There's one thing all experts agree on when discussing lottery wins. They all think it's a good idea to stay anonymous. There's a very good reason for that. If loads of people know you've won a jackpot, there will also be loads of people trying to get in on the action. Everyone will want a piece of the pie. The problems can start anywhere. Those people could come from anywhere. Often they're complete strangers looking for a handout. They normally show up in the comments of your social media posts, which is why a lot of lottery winners delete their accounts a few months after winning. But sometimes, if your full name and your city are published, they'll be able to find your home address. And they will literally show up on your doorstep asking for money. But sometimes, it's someone you know. When 21-year-old Timothy Schultz won a whopping $29 million, it was his coworker that tried to get her hands on his prize. She claimed Timothy had said she could buy the ticket with him and they'd share the prize if it won. Timothy said in court that they had said something like that while he was buying the ticket at the gas station where they worked, but she'd never given him her half of the money to pay for the ticket. That wasn't enough to convince people that she wasn't involved. But Timothy's story ended pretty well because in Iowa, you have to be at least 21 years old to play the lottery. Timothy had bought the ticket a few months after his 21st birthday, but the girl trying to take half of his winnings was only 20 years old. So she wasn't legally entitled to any of his money because she wasn't allowed to play the game in the first place. But not every story ends with more luck for the winners. Another group of people determined to profit off lottery winners is the media. If you've won a jackpot big enough to make headlines, they'll try to profit off you by getting pictures and inside scoops that they can build a story from. To them, it's not about taking your money. They want to use you to get clicks, and it can make your life a misery. When John and Lisa Robinson won a mind-blowing $528 million jackpot, they were already retired. At their winners' press conference, they told the world they were happy and didn't want to move out of their home that they'd loved for decades. But their peaceful home soon became a place full of stress when tons of media vans started camping outside. They were accompanied by tons of strangers looking for money. It got so bad, the police had to start patrolling the property permanently to make sure the Robinsons were left alone. They soon realized they couldn't live their normal life there anymore. They sold their beloved home and moved far away. Sure, they bought a beautiful $10 million lakeside mansion, but we still think they should have been allowed to stay in their old house. In the end, they didn't get that option. And it's not just strangers and the media that want a piece of a big lottery win. The government wants in on it too, and winners can't say no to them. Number 8. They have to pay loads of tax.
You have a lot of explaining to do.
There are places in the world where lottery wins are not taxed, but America isn't one of them. When lottery winners bought their ticket, they normally expected to win the amount advertised. To illustrate what we mean, let's say you've won a $1.5 billion jackpot. So soon, your bank account will show you've got $1.5 billion, right? Nope. Firstly, that number is the amount you'll receive only if you take the annuity option, but that takes decades. That's why you get more money. It's the amount you've won plus interest over all the years. If you take the lump sum, like most winners, you'll actually get a lot less. A $1.5 billion jackpot will mean you actually get a lump sum of about $930 million. So you've already got a lot less than you were expecting. But then the taxes come in. All winners in America must pay federal income taxes on lottery jackpots. How much you win determines the percentage you need to hand over. But a big jackpot like this means they'll take 37%. 24% is immediately withheld and handed over to the government before you even touch the money, and you're liable for the rest. That means in this example, your $1.5 billion jackpot has now dwindled to about $586 million. Shocking, right? And if you're really unlucky, your state will take even more. Not all states require you to pay taxes on your winnings, but some definitely do. And there are other hidden taxes too. If you are hoping to share your jackpot evenly with your family, you'll be in for a huge shock. Because if you, for example, give half of your remaining money to your parents, you'll owe gift tax on it. And it's not a small percentage either. It can be as high as 46%. Worse, if you die and your will states that your family should get your estate, your kind gesture means they'll have to pay a whopping tax bill equal to about 40%. There is insurance out there that covers some of that, which you might want to look into if you ever do win a jackpot. So winning the lottery doesn't mean you can do anything you want with all that cash. And having it might not be such a blessing to winners in the first place, because number 7, they sometimes lose their sense of purpose.
Well, I thought we were gonna play Halo tonight.
Psychologists say that one of the biggest problems with winning the lottery is that winners feel lost. See, if you're not super rich, you probably think winning the lottery will solve all your problems and free you. But that's not always true. See, having things that you absolutely have to do, like going to work to pay your bills and look after your family, gives you a sense of purpose. That's essential to good mental health. Lottery winners have no worries if they know they have enough money in the bank. They can quit their job. They don't need to be anywhere at a specific time. They can do whatever they want, and they don't need to worry about anything. That sounds like the perfect life to most people. But it means they can lose their way. Not having anything important to do means they lose their sense of purpose and meaning in life. That's pretty bad. It also explains why so many lottery winners quickly develop disastrous drug and alcohol problems. Keith Goff was a happily married man before he won the lottery. His biggest dream was to retire and live the easy life with his wife. But after he won millions, he started drinking heavily. Eventually, his wife chose to leave rather than watch her beloved husband turn into a shell of the man she loved. Keith died of a heart attack soon after. Almost everyone agrees it was really a broken heart that killed him. But it's not just his sense of purpose lottery winners lose. Number 6, they lose tons of friends.
I thought I was charming.
Some winners lose their friends and family because of substance abuse. But that's not the only thing that drives friends away. When you become a multi-millionaire, your lifestyle is bound to change, but your friends still have the same amount of money. They probably can't afford to travel the world with you or move into upper-class neighborhoods or eat at the fanciest restaurants. The more you hang out in places like that, the less time you'll have to spend time with your friends. Or worse, you might stick to doing the same things as before, but they might become jealous. You'll still feel like the same person, and it can be pretty heartbreaking if your friends start treating you differently just because you've got loads of money now. Some of them get angry because you won't give them money. Shark Tank's Damon John has an interesting way to prevent that problem though. He says the moment you find out that you've won, you should call up everyone you know and ask them if you can borrow money. That way, when people start asking you for money, they can't get angry if you say no if they've recently said no to you. But even when you make new friends, they might not be what they seem. When Callie Rogers won millions at just 16 years old, the worst part of her experience was the way her friends treated her. She says she'd sometimes buy drinks for friends in bars, only to realize later that they were only talking to her in the hopes of getting a story about her that they could sell to the tabloids. That's gotta be tough. But it's not only lying friends that are a problem to lottery winners. Number 5. They can't trust anyone.
I can't believe you don't trust me.
Psychologists say that one of the biggest mental health problems that lottery winners experience is paranoia. But there's a pretty good reason for that. The first advice any lottery winner gets is that they need to put a team together. Lawyers, tax experts, and financial advisors are supposed to help you make good decisions with your money. But even if you're paying someone a huge salary, that doesn't mean they become trustworthy. Jason Curlin started calling himself the lottery lawyer and quickly became an authority on helping jackpot winners manage their money. He was even making appearances on TV. He had loads of clients who had won incredible amounts of money, including the winners of a gigantic $1.5 billion Mega Millions jackpot. That couple alone paid Curland an incredible $200,000 for their first consultation and $50,000 per month after that to look after their money. He could have made more than enough money from legit work. None of his clients suspected that he was stealing millions from them to fund criminal activities run by his shady friends. Over the years, he stole almost $200 million from his clients. To avoid that happening, here's another great bit of advice from Damon John. He says ask another rich person for the names of their trusted advisors. It also helps to gather a team from different firms, because they'll watch out for any strange transactions that might look suspicious. But that doesn't help the poor winners who are already taken advantage of. And if you think professionals stealing money from lottery winners is bad, the next problem on our list is even worse. Number 4. Their families sometimes turn against them.
Can you believe that?
When you win the lottery, even your own family can turn against you. This can happen in all kinds of ways you'd never dream of. And there are more than just a few lottery winners who have been sued by their family to get more money. Most recently, Barbara Reddick went with her nephew Tyrone to collect her winner's check. But when the press asked if she had anything to say, she turned to her nephew and said, "I'll see you in court."
JC Ace Winners is going to court. I'm taking him to court. It was my ticket.
Why? Well, Tyrone claims that Barbara had bought the winning ticket for him as a gift. That claim was backed up pretty clearly because it was Tyrone's name that was written on the ticket. But after the ticket won, Barbara said she'd only put his name there for luck, and she never agreed to give him the money if the ticket won. Tyrone had already agreed to split the winnings 50-50, but Barbara wanted more than that, and as promised, she sued him. Tyrone agreed to take 40%, and Barbara got 60%. He says it's terrible to lose that relationship after being so close to his aunt his whole life. But it could have been worse. Aruj Khan, a family man who owned a laundromat, won $1 million jackpot one day. That's not even a huge jackpot like some winners get. But before he even collected the money, someone had slipped him a deadly dose of cyanide. The authorities only discovered this when Aruj's brother insisted that it wasn't a heart attack that ended his life. He was right. The authorities suspect that a member of the family was responsible. But nothing could be proven, and whoever did it is still free. With all that risk, is it really worth it to win a jackpot? Well, number 3, most winners will go bankrupt.
I had nothing to do with this.
At least one study has found that a shocking 70% of lottery winners end up broke. In fact, lottery winners are more likely to go bankrupt within 3 to 5 years of winning than the average American is to go bankrupt at any point in their lives. Surprisingly, a lot of that is due to giving too much money away. But it's also because winners often believe they have more money than they really do. If you never saw that amount of money throughout your life, it's unlikely you'll know how to handle it when it suddenly falls in your lap. That much money can make you think you can afford anything you want. But really, when you start spending like crazy, the money dries up pretty fast. Another study showed that lottery winners surveyed 10 years after winning had saved just 16 cents from every dollar they won. That sure doesn't sound sustainable. But a lot of bankruptcies are filed by people who used that money to buy assets and open businesses. And bankruptcy isn't the worst thing that can happen. In fact, the average millionaire, including the ones who earned their money through business, go bankrupt 3 times in their lives. So it could get a lot worse than filing for bankruptcy. Unfortunately, a lot of lottery winners do find themselves in a worse position. Number 2. Some never get their money in the first place.
I need more money, Steve.
Billy.
I need more money.
It turns out you may have won the lottery already. You just didn't know it. Billions of dollars worth of lottery prizes go unclaimed. According to lottery officials, over $2 billion go unclaimed in America every year. That's a shocking statistic. And the largest ever unclaimed prize will take your breath away. The ticket was worth a staggering $77 million. The prize went unclaimed for so long that even if you found that missing Powerball ticket in your jacket pocket now, you would not be able to claim it. But never knowing you won the jackpot isn't nearly as bad as knowing that money could have been yours. Loads of winners lose tickets and can never claim their prize. Others have their tickets stolen. But the worst story yet was a British couple who missed out on a ginormous jackpot in 2021. They played the same numbers every single week, and even had an online subscription set up so their ticket would be bought for them. They thought that would mean they'd never miss out by forgetting to buy a ticket. So one week when they checked the lottery draw, they immediately started celebrating when they saw all their numbers had come up. They'd won a whopping $231 million. Only when they went to check the website, their ticket wasn't there. Tragically, a glitch meant their automatic payment never went through, and they tragically had no right to claim their prize. So, not winning the lottery can ruin your life just as much as winning it can. But is there any way to make sure it doesn't end in tragedy when you do win? Well, number 1, it's almost impossible to make the right choice. We would say it's a good idea to take expert advice when you win, but unfortunately, that's a lot more difficult than it seems. That's because a lot of experts contradict each other when giving advice to lottery winners. Most say you should invest wisely. Others, like Mark Cuban, say investing is a huge mistake. Mark Cuban says you should take the annuity option so it's more difficult for you to blow it all. While people like Kevin O'Leary and Kevin Harrington say you can earn a lot more from investments if you take the lump sum. You're told not to invest on your own, but people who listened to Jay Curland had millions stolen from the person who was meant to give them advice. This all becomes a huge problem because, as psychologists will tell you, a lot of lottery winners feel pretty overwhelmed when they first win the lottery. It can bring a huge amount of stress into their lives, which only gets worse when they realize they don't know who to ask for advice. So, is it even surprising that the lottery curse strikes so often? You might not believe that these things really happen, but we can prove it. Here's our list of the winners who lost absolutely everything.